Welcome to NOCLIP, the podcast that's like a book club for people who don't think that books reward them enough for being good at them. I'm Chad Rutherman.
And I'm Andy Kinnick.
And today, we're going to be talking about Spiritfarer, a game that was developed and published by Thunder Lotus and was released in 2020 on Linux, macOS, Windows, iOS, Android, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia.
But first, if you can give us a like or a rating, subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated.
So I think that there's an interesting conversation to be had right at the beginning about this game's genre. Because it is, I think, in a mortal batutle with itself over what it is that it's trying to do. This is I want to say it's self-described as being a management sim. And it kind of follows some of those, trajectories in it. But I don't actually fully agree with that. I think that the parts of this game that it does best are narrative, are character-driven, like an adventure game, where you're going from place to place and solving light puzzles and, actually like doing like fetch quests and things. I think that those are the parts of the game that feel like it's the most focused. But I actually want to call this an incremental game. Something like Cookie Clicker is closer to this than a management sim. And I will explain why. When I started this game and I got Gwen on the boat, I saw that Gwen had a mood that you could keep track of. And I saw that Gwen, when at a high mood, would go and loom things for you. And I said, oh, okay, this is RimWorld for babies. Like, this is RimWorld, but it's like, it's very easy to keep things going and people won't just like go berserk and dig a corpse out of the ground and put it on a dinner table. I was like, and I'm like, that's cool. That sounds compelling to me. But then as the game went on, I realized that the people on your boat aren't really helping you at all, even a little bit. So it immediately felt less management-y. And I realized that most of my time was spent just like waiting for stuff to finish to accrue more resources and then use those resources to build more things to make more resources. And I was like, oh, this is actually Cookie Clicker for people who have an attention span at all.
Yeah, it's a No Man's Sky like.
It is kind of a No Man's Sky like in that sense.
Yep. Get more resources to build things so you can make more resources. I was thinking of it as like a cozy game. I think this came out around the same time as like Animal Crossing, New Horizons. It feels like on the kind of the front wave of like the current wave of like farm sim games and things like this. And the game, I agree. I think the parts of it that are the strongest and I liked the most were like the narrative things and when you would actually like find an island with stuff on it to do. But yeah, it does feel like it is like 90% like just managing things though. And I feel like new things do like unlock and keep happening, but to me it felt like it didn't happen at quick enough of a pace. For my personal tastes. And it is funny that you compared it to RimWorld. Because I was going to compare it to RimWorld and like what I was thinking my final thoughts would be. So I will hold off on that. But it is like a very simple kind of like little management system there. And I do agree. It does feel, but I'm not sure if it is kind of at odds with itself about like what it wants to be. Or more, it's just like, what just isn't my kind of game. Like, because I also kind of didn't know what to think about, like, how well it was designed or not. because it does have like a couple different, it hands in a few different cookie jars or whatever.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that it's kind of the reason that I say that it feels like it's at odds with itself is because there is an element of this game that feels very personal, and a lot of the genre trappings of management sims and incremental games are very impersonal in a way where I feel like the games attempt to bridge the gap there between these mechanics surrounding growing shit in a field and, you know, having to do all of these different things to keep the boat up and running with enough supplies, are these like stupid mini games.
Yeah, catch that lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
Again.
that you have to do for everyone. It's like, this is a thing that you are taking a more active participant in. All of them are like directly connected to one of the boat patrons. To me, it was like, that felt like it was the worst of both worlds, where it does have this level of interactivity that a lot of these games otherwise don't have, but they weren't like very enjoyable to do. And because all the numbers are kept really small, you don't get that like, oh, well, I worked a little bit harder, but now I have 10 billion of something and I never have to worry about it again, like how incremental games work. And so it ends up in this like middle ground where it's just like, I feel like I'm doing a lot with very little reward. And it just made me want to like not engage with the other systems as much, where it's like, I don't want to talk to the people on the boat that often because they're going to ask me for food. And then I have to go make the food and like sit there while the fucking, or, you know, like put something in the oven while I know they're starving because I talked to them. And now I feel bad about it. And I'm like, how long does it take to make a fucking corn dog? Apparently like fucking 40 minutes or something.
This might kind of tie into like one of my notes, and it maybe my brain was just thinking about it a little differently, but like, yeah, like I feel like this game does have an interesting narrative and good characters, and they've gone, you know, through the effort of making these little mini games that relate to them. Like, to me, it almost kind of felt like, and maybe this does happen, you can let me know, because I only got like halfway through the game. Kind of dropped the ball there. Super busy recently. But it kept feeling like the game was like building up to something, right? Like you have like the snake, who I can't remember their name. But anyway, the snake in the robe. And like you would like run past this like sea monster, and like that is related to the snake character, and it's got these like growths on its body, and she's like, every time you run into it, she's like, oh, every time we see this serpent, we should help it, you know. And it's interesting the first time, right? Like the sea monster comes out, you have to go break the things on its back, and you're like, oh yeah. And then it just becomes this like routine mini game that you do, and it's like, you know, like, and I'm sure there's probably a payoff to that, like in her storyline or whatever, that I didn't get to, but like it really felt like it should have like I felt like the pacing was too slow. Like it really felt like that should have gotten to a point where it paid that off quicker. So yeah, it just, everything in the game kind of felt like, okay, like we're about to get to the part where the game gets good, but then it just, you know, that's just what what the game is. It's just doing the tasks to make a bigger boat.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, and this is not a final thoughts thing because I feel like we need to address it immediately and talk about why it is true. I think that this game easily, I'm doing that thing that I said I should stop doing, where I start a sentence that I veer off to a thing to try to explain it, but I'm going to do that now anyway.
Just embrace it.
This is just part of how I talk. Everybody has to love it. Give us money. No. I played this game for 30 hours, And I realistically could have finished the game at 25 hours, but I continued to... I sent all of the spirits back. I took all the spirits to the Everdoor in the game. So I completed that whole part of it. This game should be, and could easily be, 15 hours shorter than it is. Like, a huge chunk of this game feels like wasted time to me. And it's one of those things, I actually went back, I listened to, this is dumb, I listened to the Trapped episode because it's what this made me think of. I've on multiple occasions described a game as like, my favorite game that I hate or something. Like some pithy way of describing a game that is like a really good idea that I have problems with. And I feel like this is like the opposite. A lot of those games have like a really interesting mechanical like hook to them and then fall down in other places, or like they're just bad games that have like something way out of left field in the plot or narrative, which is Trapped, that I find to be very interesting or cool to talk about. But I think the difference for this is the reverse. Like, this is a really insanely well-made game in a lot of ways that just has dog shit mechanics. And the game just like bored the pants off of me after the first like 8 hours. But then you would like do an Everdoor thing and take the spirit to the Everdoor, and it would be like, I'm like crying and the little like spark goes around the Everdoor, and it's like that big panoramic view with the red water and the gold, and it looks so fucking beautiful. And I'm like, this is the greatest game I've ever played. And then I'm like, go back and I'm like, well, I gotta plant some lettuce and wait for like 2 in-game days so that I can make a salad so that the snake is not unhappy. Like, it's so it's like both sides. Somebody, I'm sure a lot of people love this formula. They're like, it's a really beautiful game that has a lot of personable characters that you can relate to, or have like the what is it called? Like the enemies to lovers, but not actually lovers, because that would be weird in this game. Arc to them, and it's like got a bunch of busy work so that you can spend a lot of time in that world. Like, for some people that is it, and I imagine that those people love this game,
right?
But oh man, I was so wrapped by this game for like my first day of playing it. Like, I played it well beyond when I thought I was going to stop. I felt like I was having a good time, and I was like getting ready to engage in both the narrative and the management sim parts of the game. And then the game goes on, and this is a very long way to answer the thing that you were saying before. It never builds to anything. Like, all of them, in fact, a lot of times they just get worse. Because like the dragon, which is a cool concept that they had related to the snake lady, whose name I also forget. I feel like she was the one who was on my boat for like the shortest period of time. You run into another spirit way later in the game, named Elena, who's like a dog. And she's like a trainer, right? She's like, you have to do these challenging tasks. And she just runs you through all of the tasks that you already do for everybody else, but it's like a hard mode version, which, like, to me, cheapens the effect of the dragon, because she's like, oh, I see the dragon in my dreams. And then you fast forward 10 hours and it's like, beat the gold dragon in less than 7 minutes. And I'm like, why did this become a time trial? Like, all of the personality is ripped out of it. It's just like a purely mechanical thing. And as I stated, the mechanics are dog shit. So it's like not an enjoyable thing to like have like it amped up. It never becomes challenging. It's just like more to do. I don't know. Right. It's just it never built in a way that I found satisfactory, and therefore my thesis: 15 hours needs to come off of this game.
Yeah. No, like I started the game, and after the first time playing it, I was like, I forget how long this is. Let me check how long to beat, and was just flabbergasted that it was said like 32 hours or something. I was like, how? Like, I cannot imagine this game lasting that long. This feels like it should be a 12-hour game.
Yeah.
And even that feels like it might be a little too long.
Yeah, I feel like 10 to 15, depending on how engaged you are in the farming mechanics, I think is like that's the sweet spot, 10 to 15, like in that zone. Because you do need to spend some time with the characters in order to like experience their stories and have the moment of catharsis when they accept their fate. And that feels good and that feels right. But yeah, it feels very drawn out. And it's funny because it's not even like a Wind Waker problem, which this game could have easily had because it takes place on a boat and there's travel time between everywhere that you go. The fast travel system is not even that fast. You have to go to a fast travel node and then like click on it and then go. Okay. If you're a fan of this game, we are going to talk about the things that this game does super good because there are those. They exist, and I do love them. I just want to get this out of the way right now. I hate existing on this fucking boat so much. You have like... There are so many stupid things that just draw everything out so long. To fast travel, you got to go find Alex, go to him, you jump on his little rock, you have to jump off the boat, jump on the rock, talk to him, select where you're going. God help you if you didn't check beforehand where you were going. Go find where you're going, go there, jump back off of the rock, run all the way back to the left side of the boat to get to the thing. And the bigger your boat is, the more you're punished for this because you have to run for even longer. And then navigate to the place you want to go, select it, and then wait for you to arrive at your destination. Like, it's like the trade-off in time between just selecting the destination and waiting the full duration and doing all of that in order to get from one place to another is like it's how much do you want to be just doing nothing, running around, talk to a guy, mark the map, go back to the map, mark another place on the map, wait, etc. Do that a bunch of times. And it's compounded by the fact that like partway into every journey that you take early in the game, the boat will just turn off and you have to go to sleep, which feels like such an unnecessary mechanic. And they do get rid of it later in the game. I want to say it's anytime after you've gotten the mist clearer, but I don't know that for sure, and it might actually be tied to Buck, and I was having a glitch happen, because I was driving around at night all the time later in the game, and then I found Buck, and Buck was like, you don't have to worry about sleeping anymore, and I was like, that's great. But what about before when I already wasn't worrying about sleeping? Why was there no explanation for that? So, because it was like, you can't go at night because it requires light to function. And it's like, okay, that makes some amount of sense, but it just like is a thing. You have to stop what you're doing. It's not even like the night is infinite, but new things can't start, which is what I thought maybe at the beginning. So you had lots of time to like, you could like put stuff in the oven and like wait for it, whatever, like start a bunch of tasks, then go to sleep to get like some progress on them. It just progresses like normal time. So the night feels very unnecessary to me. Everybody could go to sleep and wake up and it wouldn't change a thing. I don't know why we had to stop everything, go to bed, get up, wake everybody up with the bell if you want to. I stopped doing that pretty early. And then there's also this is my last big complaint, and I'll let you go after this. Sorry. There's an ability that you can get. There's multiple abilities that you buy at shrines with obols, and the second to last ability that you can get in the game is the dash ability. which is just like a quick forward burst of movement. And it's actually really cool because you have the hat float ability. So if you use the momentum from the dash into a float, you'll fly really fast. You get some like great distance, and you can build stuff on your ship to like get high in the air, like the bouncing thing or the blower. And so you can get around really fast if you're like good with the mechanics, but you don't get that until like fucking right at the end of the game. So I spent the whole game just walking back and forth like some kind of plebeian before they give me the ability to actually travel quickly. And it's like, it's one of those things where it seems like there was a good game, but they decided to not give it to you. They were like, look, we had a good game at the end of the game. Anyway, here are the credits. All right, I'm done. These things bothered me, and it made the game feel very slow.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Is there a penalty to not sleeping? I never tried just not sleeping.
As far as I'm aware, no. It's just the penalty is that your boat won't be moving the whole time.
Right. Yeah, I also like thought that was a little bit weird, but didn't think too much about it. Like, especially since like you're in the afterlife. And, like, they could have just been like, no, you don't have to sleep. Because you're dead. You know, like, it would have been fine. But
presumably your character doesn't eat either, even though the other ones do. So, like, yeah, you seem to be, like, in an immortal ghost state. Yeah.
Right. I feel like I was going to say something else there.
Was it about the special powers?
Oh, yeah, I guess I did also have stuff to say about that. Like, I do like a lot of the movement mechanics as well. And yeah, like, and it might just be because I don't really tend to like incremental games or like management games very much, but like, I agree, like, it does feel like some of the mechanics feel like they're meant for a different game, like a platformer, or, you know, like the parts where you're on the islands almost feel like they were a prototype for a different game that got glued onto this like boat management game. And maybe that also kind of contributed to like my feelings of like it feeling like the game was building to a thing that it never got to, is because I was like, oh, like maybe we'll get to a part of the game where we're doing that stuff more. It was like a thought that like I kept having, but yeah, I don't know. Because like I guess like that's kind of stuff like pretty much everything you said, I think, is like spot on. Like, if the game feels like a lot of busy work and grindiness, at least to like as far into it as I got. Like, I imagine once you get more things to do and more buildings and things, like this stuff might be like alleviated. But like, I felt like I just wasn't getting to new stuff quick enough. Like the number of times that like I was just sailing somewhere and it's like, oh, hey, catch the lightning in the bottle, and you know you gotta like catch the little purple ghost things. I don't remember what those were called. For Gwen,
jellyfish things.
Yeah, the jellyfish things, or go to get the sea serpent. Like it felt like I did those things so many times. Like I just feel like to me it was just like. Big picture, I feel like pacing is the game's big issue for me. And yeah, you could break it down into lots of little things too, but that was probably my biggest grievance, is like I feel like I can see a game in here that's like really great that like I would like. It kind of made me feel like well, I guess I would just compare it to RimWorld now. Like, it felt like RimWorld to me in the sense that, like, I feel like this isn't my type of game, but, like, I feel like I can see my type of game in it. And I feel like we've all played a game like that before, where it's like, this is almost a thing that I like. Something like Brutal Legend, which seems like a cool, like, Zelda-esque action-adventure game, and then it becomes an RTS. It's like, oh, it was almost something I liked. So yeah, this had that kind of vibe to me.
Yeah. And it does like the platforming mechanics and stuff, which are what the game most heavily relies on when it comes to creating like their challenges. What you didn't see essentially are all just variations on the same thing. There's like a comet shower where rocks will fall in and then they become glowing things on the ground that you go pick up within a time limit, which is almost exactly the same as the lightning in a bottle thing. And then there's another jellyfish type event that's actually like little bees that to me look like rabbits. I don't know what my eyes were doing on that one, but that's how I saw them, to get a different resource. And it's just like variations on the same thing. There's like 4 different dragons that are all the same minigame, just varying in complexity. So it is just sort of like a lot of the same stuff, but the platform mechanics as a whole are, I think, fairly well polished. Like, it doesn't feel bad to move around or anything. It just feels like the game wants you to stop and do a thing a little bit too often. One thing I will give them credit for that I do like is all of the mini games that give you resources being tied to spirits gives you a clear path for progression that I do like. You never sit there and go like, like, what the fuck is obsidian ore or something, like in a different game that has crafting. Mm-hmm. You like look at a thing and then you can look right on your map and see like, oh, okay, if I want to get to this area, I need to have the thing that breaks through the ice. And you can see on the upgrades, the thing that breaks through the ice, you see what it requires. And you know, like, okay, this is for a spirit I don't have yet. So I look around to find a spirit on an island, figure out what challenge I need to complete to get there. It all builds on itself really organically, in a way that I found really simple and intuitive, which is rare. It never felt like I was just completely unaware of what I would need to do to progress. But then it just like took for fucking ever to progress to the point where I got there. So yeah, I do feel like I agree with you. And I'm somebody who does like incremental games and does like management sims. And I can also see a game that I could like in here. It's just like a different one than the one that you saw.
Right.
I was just like, man, if this is like smoothed out, or if there's a little bit more to this, or if like you could be less active. The thing I'm most sad that you didn't get to experience is the Foundry, which is the worst minigame I've ever seen in my life. Because you use metals in the Foundry, and then it poops out a little like glowing ball, and then you hit that ball with a hammer. And each kind of metal has a different pattern of hitting it that is better for it. So sometimes you want to hit it real hard and then like light a couple of times and then hard again. And then other times if you hit it hard, your hammer will explode and make you wait like 8 seconds before you can do anything
like the
else.
Like the mining.
Yeah. And there's absolutely no indication as to what thing it's going to be, and you just kind of have to guess for each of them. And then I guess memorize them. And that's how you make sheets, which are like a part of a lot of end game material things. And it takes so unnecessarily long to do any of it, and you have to be actively engaged in it. Some of them, when you put them in, it takes forever to make the little ball, like the molten ore. It takes like a minute and a half to make that, and so you're just like, do I go do something else? Like, it's not as long as any other thing that you have to wait for, so it's in this perfectly inconvenient time period. That's just so annoying, and I hated doing it all the time. It's like my least favorite thing in the game. But yeah, that's kind of like the long and short of it for me, though. It's just like everything took a little bit too long, and all things had like 1 or 2 more steps than they should have had for it to be fun to do. Like, the animations in this game are really good. Like, really well done. And I hated them at the end of the game because I am like, why can't I just walk up to the garden and press A and collect what's in the garden? Why do I have to go to each individual plot and fucking like pull up a head of lettuce and then wait like 4 real world seconds before I can select it again to then plant a new head of lettuce in the ground? And then water it, and then wait, and then walk to the next one and repeat over and over again. Like, why do I have to do that? It drives me insane. And it felt so repetitive. And so, I don't know. And it's not even Skinner boxy. Like, it's not even like it's giving you intermittent rewards to keep your brain like high on the dopamine. Every time you walk by the fucking garden, you know exactly what you're going to get. And it becomes less and less exciting over time to the point where by the end of the game, I just like wasn't growing food anymore. Like I was like, this takes too long. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it. And the spirits on the boat will just have to live with what I can make with what I've gotten up to this point.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt like this is part of my, I think the game is fighting itself because it's like, I want to make the people on the boat happy. And the game ostensibly rewards you for that, even though the rewards themselves are not that good. Like, oh, thanks, Atoll, for giving me 1 plank. That's exactly what I needed in this moment. 1 plank. But the emotional detriment to learning that everyone is starving to death and not wanting to help them with it because it takes a long time and is not fun was enough for me to like not engage with a lot of the systems, especially the later in the game that it got. I was like, won't you hurry up and die so that I no longer have to feed you is not the emotional response the game wants you to have toward these characters.
Yeah, they're starving to super death because they are already dead. Yeah, well, to talk about something more positive, you did mention the animations. I think, this developer made a game called Jotun that I had played previously. I only got maybe like a third of the way into it because it was pretty hard. But it's like a kind of like top-down, isometric-y, like kind of combat game where you play as like a Norse warrior in like the Bifrost Bridge is your little hub, and you have to go to the 9 realms and play through the level and fight the boss. It's a pretty cool game. And they had some, I watched like some promotional videos for whatever reason. They might have been like on the eShop because I bought this on the Wii U. And like they showed like their animation process, and like this game's a little bit more cartoony and cute, whereas like that one had like a real like Don Bluth-y kind of vibe where like stuff looks cartoony, but it's like a little bit more gritty and angular and stuff. So like it's like beautiful animation. Like they've got a lot of great like talent at this studio. And yeah, this game has a lot of the same strengths. Like the animations are great. All of them have like a lot of personality. Like I love when you swim in the water and then the cat like runs on the little ball and like looks like it's afraid it's going to fall in the water at any second. And like, even though I agree the animation is super annoying, but like the animation, like when the pickaxe breaks and then you have to like recuperate from it, like it's a great animation. Very annoying, amazing. But it's really great animation. Like the big hat and how you use it to float, and like the spinning jump animation, like they're all great. And like like the catching the lightning, and like whenever the frog guy is like dancing and playing his flute, and like it's all got a lot of personality. I think this game was pretty successful. As I said, it came out like on the front end of that Animal Crossing wave. And I think, the rising tide did, in fact, raise this ship. Pun intended.
It was a good pun. Well worth it.
So, yeah, like, I hope, like, this game was, like, financially successful to them and they make more stuff. Because I think they're a cool studio. I'd like to see more from them.
Yeah, and it is, like, and to build onto that a little bit, like, even the I think the sound design is also really strong.
Mm-hmm.
The first place that it really struck me, I think, the pun once again intended, is in the lightning in a bottle minigame, because it's both like a very satisfying sort of like cartoony sound effect, but it's also very like powerful and loud. And this applies to like everything else. There's great feedback for your jumps and for when you're running on different surfaces and stuff. It feels very thought out, and it gives it a lot of life, both the sound and the animation. And yeah, the animation's great. I don't know if you ever saw this, because it only happened to me once in the whole game, but if the cat is like really far away from you and you try to like start a thing that requires the cat for the animation, so cutting a tree, that's the only one I can think of. That's the one that I did that causes to happen. The cat was far away. It'll blow up like a balloon. Like he goes like and like blows himself up and then like phew, and like flies to you.
That's really funny.
Like it's really good. And like I saw it one time, and like somebody put in the effort to do that instead of just having it teleport from off screen to where you are.
Right.
And that's great. Like it's incredible that they spent the time to do that. And so many different like areas where, you know, the characters just have these like little animations that really add a lot of life to it. I like that every spirit has a different hug animation.
Oh, yeah.
That emphasizes their personality in a way that doesn't necessarily involve words. And yeah, and even the music is great. All of the characters have a different theme that play to their sort of personality and their tastes and the mood that they're trying to convey. Particular standouts for me being the mobster, hummingbird, and bison, and I think he's a Wolverine. There's a character named Jackie, who has a ska theme, and I'm a little sad that you didn't get there. That stood out to me as being particularly cool. But they all fit. They're all really well made. It meshes well with the rest of the music in the game. Alex, the seal, that's your fast travel system, has this like horrible fucking like disastrous music
like
that
Rusty
plays.
Bucket
That's
Bay.
like it's like Rusty Bucket Bay, but it's like if a marching band was like severely out of tune, and the drummers were having a fist fight instead of playing. Like, and there's an option to turn it off, but if you do it, he's like, "You're joking, right? Like, this is my favorite music. You gotta keep it going." And so I did leave it on the whole time.
Of course.
Like every note that they, pun again intended, 3 puns this episode, it's a real bargain. The note that they were trying to hit with each theme lands perfectly. Like it all matches extremely well and invokes the feelings that you want them to. So yeah, all of that presentational stuff is incredible. Like absolutely incredible, and I loved all of it.
Yeah, it's definitely their strong suit. Presentation to the nines.
To the nines. But yeah, I think we can talk about some narrative elements as well to I mean, I guess to close us out. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to talk about outside of that.
I think we've hit most things pretty well. Oh, I guess I didn't mention this. I don't know if I'll just throw it in there. The movement abilities, which we already talked about, like almost kind of gave once again, me imagining a different game while I'm playing. Like it almost kind of made it feel like a little bit like Metroidvania-y, because like I know I got to an island that had like the vents that blow up air like before I had the float upgrade. So like I felt like the actual, like I didn't really comment on this, the actual like boat or like exploration, like, you know, just sailing around from island to island, and not knowing what you're gonna find, and then like having the different abilities to like incentivize you to go back to islands and like remember where things are. I felt like that was all well done. Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think this is another reason the game should be a lot shorter than it is. There's a character, one of the characters you get is on an island,
that you can reach immediately. Like, you don't need any upgrades to get to it. You can just fucking swim over there, on a boat like you do swimming. Right. You can sail over to it immediately. And there's somebody there who's just like, don't jump on my umbrella. And then you jump on the umbrella and they're like, yeah. And they're like, go fuck yourself. Stop jumping on my umbrella. But also, you might be able to jump higher with another ability later. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, like that Metroidvania aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And then I played the game for like 12 more hours and I forgot entirely about that island. So I didn't end up getting to that character until like, they were like the third from last character that I found out of, I think there's like 15 or something. And so it was like, dang, it would have been cool if I was able to go back and get that character. Because like they, like almost all the characters, lock a particular resource behind their acquisition. And I just like forgot that they existed at all because the game was so long. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's tough to remember all the places that you can use different abilities. And also like, there are several locations that are like very vast for no reason that you go to that are like mines and stuff, and the rewards are almost always piss garbage in terms of like, oh, it's like you get ore, but it's like you're given a way to create a lot of any resource in the form of the turtles very early in the game. It's like right after you get Astrid. So like I don't know. For me, it was like, damn, there's like, I spent a lot of time here and came away with like one cool thing. And it was like a blueprint that I was going to use and then forgot that I even used it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the game is like pretty non-linear. Like, so like maybe that stuff's in there for, if there's something that you skip or overlook for a while.
That could make sense, yeah. Because there definitely were things. Like, I'm sure that my path through is not exactly the same. It's non-linear except for the parts except for when you need to use, like, the ship upgrades to get to a new location. But once you're through, then, like, you can do anything there in any order, so. But otherwise, yeah, I think they're fairly well implemented, the powers and stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So to talk about the narrative of this game, I'm not gonna spend like a super long time on this because a lot of it is just like, I'll just be like, it was good, and I'm not gonna be able to. Me talking about it is not going to present the same emotional impact that it has when you do it yourself. But maybe you are going to want to play the game because of the things that we said already, but we'll see what happens. The actual narrative, here's basically what you didn't get. And this is like a fairly major spoiler, is the twist of the game is, and you get this pretty early, I would say, but like it doesn't become like a major point that they're following until later, is that Stella, the main character of the game, is the one who's actually dying, and she is sort of imagining the Spiritfarer. It was, in fact, all a dream. And so you run into Hades on a few different occasions, on 3 occasions, after doing some platforming puzzles, after taking a character to the Everdoor. And then once you're done with that, your sister, who is in real life beside you in a hospital room talking to you, you can hear her voice at the different shrines across all the different islands. So if you go to each of them and get the story beats, then you can go back and Stella and Daffodil can go through the Everdoor, which is, to me, this is the thing that I like the most about the storytelling in this game, is this is where the gameplay and the narrative mesh so well, because it's like, for each character, there's like 2 or 3 characters whose like go to the Everdoor quest concludes with them just like fully losing their minds and like not, and it's kind of your decision, which I find like strange, just only in contrast with the rest of the characters. Because like the first time it happens, it's pretty sad because everybody's had that like either had or has known someone who's gone through the experience of like having a grandparent or somebody who's close to them go through dementia and start forgetting people and things. And it's a really tragic kind of thing to see. And so you get that experience, but then by the 3rd time it happens, it's like real, you're like, okay. Cause like all the other ones feel really like you see somebody come to terms with their death, or they come to terms with the fact that it isn't going to get better, which I think is a fairly unique, resolution to a story. You don't see that as often, especially in games where it's like this person just said like my life wasn't good and me sitting here and prolonging it isn't going to improve that. So just take me to the Everdoor and maybe like moving on is the right thing to do. And so I like that. I like that there are a lot of characters that have these, they're like either they have something that they have to do or they need to come to some kind of realization. And then that's the thing that pushes them over into, okay, I'm done in this world. Take me to the next one. And the fact that you are given the opportunity to go to the Everdoor before you finished all of the stuff in the game is great because it means that the player can then also make that decision. The player can say, okay, I just want to finish it. I want to prolong this more. Take a few more people to the Everdoor, do this, do that, or I have to get 100% completion if you're fucking delusional. All of these different things that you could choose to do, or you can accept it and go, maybe you think you went too early, maybe you think you went too late. I like that little narrative gameplay beat of choosing when you get to end the game.
Yeah. I didn't get to see as much of the story, but yeah, like from the stuff that I picked up on, I immediately drew parallels to like Child of Light. So yeah, not surprised to find out that Stella is the one that's dying. But does it make sense? Well, I actually kind of assumed she was dead already since she was in the afterlife, but I don't know. It does feel like a cool, like, allegorical thing. Like, and I was curious because, like, all the characters greet you like they already know you, like you knew them in life, and now they're like manifesting as like these different spirits. So, like, I did find that intriguing right off the bat. And it is like very like emotionally effective. I did watch a little video about the story, and apparently. From the video, it said that like Stella was a nurse, and all the people that all the spirits are like patients that she cared for. And I feel like that's like a really interesting thing. It's got like the Wizard of Oz thing going on, where it's like people from her real life manifesting as these different characters, and like it's an interesting way to like explore like those kind of ideas of death and, you know, et cetera and so forth, the things that we don't normally like to think about. I think like the narrative and present like the rest of the presentation is like super interesting and a great idea, like the theming of like you becoming like the new Charon to ferry people to the afterlife and you have to manage this boat. Like, it's just an interesting concept from the outset, and I do think they like it's clearly like narrative driven. Like, that was the nugget at the core of the game. So yeah, really well done. And yeah, like, it'll make a grown man cry for sure. Very emotional.
Yeah. Some of the little speeches that people give during their Everdoor like journey, I thought were really well done, and like they do fit the characters well. I feel like you do always run into that thing And this is just like, if you've ever tried writing any sort of narrative, like, or if you pay attention to like the writing in media, where it's like everybody obviously speaks more eloquently than real people do. That's why you have people like Mamet who are like celebrated for writing naturalistic dialogue, where people sound more human on stage.
Or Hemingway.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are people who that is part of their style, but most media doesn't do it. So especially when somebody's giving like an end of life soliloquy, you're like, there is a good chance for this to sound corny as fuck. And I think that they really succeeded in writing most of them in a way that doesn't feel that way. Or like in the case of Gustav, who is like an artist, it felt very corny, but also really appropriate given the character. Like, you know that he wrote that shit out beforehand and rehearsed it so that it would be perfect when he delivered it in the boat before being taken up. And I'm like, that's like, it's well in his character. Everybody else gave it is written, nobody like stumbles around with their words and shit, but like it's all well written in a way that feels very natural and feels good. And some of them hit really hard. Like, I thought that the hummingbirds was particularly moving to me, because you find out that his brother is actually already dead, and so he's just sort of like puppeting him. Great stuff. Like, lots of them are very good concepts and worked really well for me. So yeah. Do we have Spiritfaring thoughts?
My Spiritfaring
Is
thoughts...
that cheating?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta take the obvious one.
That low-hanging fruit is delicious and reachable.
Yeah, the snake would love to eat that. So, my Spiritfaring thoughts. This game ended up being a bit disappointing to me. Because I think just on paper, it seems like something I would like a lot. I like things with great presentation. I like things with good characters and like emotional storylines and things. I don't hate, like crafting and things like that and like management things in games, but I tend to not like that to be the main focus personally. But so I just feel like the balance was kind of off in this for me. Like, I don't think this is like a Valheim where it's not my thing and I think it's poorly designed. It's more of a RimWorld where it's not my thing and it's well designed. I think you said this earlier, but like this game is, I think, niche, and the people who are gonna like it are gonna like it a lot for the most part. So I really love the animations. I like the character designs a whole lot. And I think it's a cool core concept, like the sailing around the ocean, like collecting all these spirits and like building up a ship and things. All really cool. But yeah, I think that the game's core problem is just its pacing. I think it felt like it took a little too long to progress things, like too long to get like more variety. It just felt like I was doing a lot of the same. Like by like hour like 4 or 5, I felt like I had been doing the same things over and over again way too much. I think this is a thing. I think the thing I forgot to say earlier is like I looked up Pyre on How Long to Beat, which is another game where like you collect a group of characters and like send them off once you grow connected to them, and like there's also like another like gameplay element in between the narrative stuff. So it's a very comparable game, and that game is like 11 to 15 hours. So and I think this game would benefit from being about that long too. So I think this is a cool game. I like this studio, but like, it just didn't quite is just not quite my thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think so. My final thoughts, I feel very much like this is the monkey's paw curling after the last episode that we did on To the Moon, where I was like, I felt like this game was sad. It tugged at you emotionally but like wasn't ever too sappy or like too exploitative in the way that it did it. But I was starved for interaction on it. I wanted more to do in that game. Mm-hmm. And Spiritfarer was like, oh, you wanted a game that's like emotionally poignant, but you have a lot of interaction? Well, we're going to have so much interaction that you're going to get sick of it. Because you hit the nail on the head. After like 5 hours of this game, I was ready to stop engaging with the mechanics almost entirely. And it just like everything felt like it took a little bit too long, or in some cases a lot of bit too long, to get anywhere, to do anything, to collect the necessary resources and materials. And it wasn't even, most of them were not a situation like, there are a couple of things that require gems, and like you can't grow gems or make gems or turn silica powder into gems or whatever. You have to go out and find them, and I actually found that to be slightly more engaging because it required some exploration and like interacting with those platforming mechanics. Most things though were just like, you already had the things that you needed to make them, you just had to go do something that was on a timer or something that had like a stupid mini game associated with it. And it got old for me very quickly, which is why I do think that like this game is so nearly perfect in its presentational aspects. Like everything they set out to do as far as making the game cute and really beautiful to look at and have all of these emotional storylines and fantastic music and sound design. I was like, this is amazing. And then it's just bogged down with all this stuff. I'll repeat it for the third time, 15 hours shorter. I think I would have loved this game. Cause I do like management sims. I do like, incremental games. So I wish that either the mechanics were different, or they were just less time intensive, and the game overall took less time. So that's kind of where I'm at. Do I recommend this game? Big fat question mark. If you're okay with repetitive like tasks and having a game that you have to really like sit and live with for a long time, and a game that's going to make you want to like sit there even if you're not enjoying yourself, you're like, I gotta like do this. Is like the bad part of the RimWorld engagement thing where I would stay up until like 3 a.m. playing RimWorld because I was like, well, I just got to do like 2 more things and then like more progress unlocks. This game is like that as well, but just the actual act of it is less enjoyable to me. So I'm very mixed on it, but it's like pretty split down the middle as far as like, these are things I love and these are things I really don't. Thank you for listening to NOCLIP this week.
What are we talking about next time?
Next time, we're going to be talking about the Talos Principle 2, a sequel to one of the first games that we played for this podcast. Like, it's in the first, 20 episodes.
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember, but it was a game that we all really liked. That made you very motion sick, I remember, because you move at Mach 3.
Well, it has motion sickness settings. So,
that's good.
Once I turned those on, it was fine.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that this game is even faster. After this slow game, I want to be rocketing through some puzzle rooms in a Talos Principle 2. So we'll see what happens with that. Until that time, you can get a hold of us. All of our contact information is on our website at noclippodcast.com or on splattershot.pro. There you can find links to our email address, our Twitter account, the YouTube channel, the Discord server where you can talk about games or suggest new things for us to play. And you can listen to any of our old episodes, including ones that we did on RimWorld. On Trapped.
Pyre.
I think I was similarly torn on Tunic, though I think Tunic is a significantly better game. But also has very strong visual and sound design. It's a shame that we didn't do Jotun, because that would be an easy call out here.
For some reason, Severed came to mind.
Severed, also kind of like a gorgeous
indie game. Yeah, with good art direction and stuff.
Yeah. Bendy and the Ink Machine, for another game that had too many mechanics in it. Well, that game had too many mechanics. This one didn't. It just used them for too long. Not quite the same thing. Fucking find a recipe in the overworld for a dish that is called the like button, and then take 2 ingredients and put them in the oven and wait for like an hour, and then hit that like button.
Ring that bell to wake up everyone on the boat.
Put your dying comments in the comment
section.
In the last words section.
Hold up a skull in soliloquies. In the comment
section. Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Sorry.